Peter, thank you. Well, there is a battle brewing between Congressman Spencer Baucus, right? Spencer Baucus. Baucus. Oh, my gosh. Had that wrong the last time. And Treasury Secretary Tim Geithner over community banks. Senior correspondent Charlie Gasparino joining us now with this. It's Spencer Baucus.
Thank you for getting my name right, by the way. You're not laughing. Come on.
You are a tough man.
Come on.
You know, listen, even I cannot be perfect.
Yeah, I'm far from perfect. I was on Imus this morning. But what's interesting about this story, it brings back just sort of the inequality of the AIG bailout. $180 billion, probably the largest cash infusion of any of the financial institutions that needed to be bailed out during the financial crisis. And as part of that, major firms were saved. Remember, Goldman Sachs held those insurance policies that were made whole. These were insurance policies on their toxic debt because of that bailout at 100 cents on the dollar. What Spencer Baucus is finding is while the big Wall Street firms and even foreign banks have been made whole, 100 cents on the dollar on those claims, U.S. community banks and regional banks are taking it. They are not being made whole. They're essentially being forced to take big haircuts on their claims against AIG, and he's appealing to Treasury Secretary Geithner to basically do something about it. And from what I understand, he's doing nothing about it, and he's basically ignoring his letters. He wants to hold hearings on this matter. He actually brought it before Barney Frank, the chairman of the House Financial Services Committee, and Frank is ignoring him, essentially, saying we're not going to look back.
Why has Congressman Baucus taken up this cause? Is it because a lot of the failed banks are in the Southeast, where he's from?
These aren't necessarily failed banks, by the way. These are
he's worried that more might fail because they're not being made.
Yeah, and I think that's some part of it. The other part of it, I think, the House Republicans were always, if you remember what happened during the financial crisis, the House Republicans, it was kind of a coalition of House Republicans and some very left Democrats. They rejected the bailout plan. Remember the initial TAR plan?
Failed the first vote.
Failed the first vote. Market went down like 600 points in 10 minutes because they felt it was just throwing money at the issue and bailing out these mega players that have, let's face it, Goldman Sachs has a lot of plugs into government, while the communities banks don't. And so I think there is a real, on Baucus's part, I really think there is an issue here of inequality. He really believes that little guys are taking it on the chin while the big guys get bailed out. I mean, listen, I don't know the sort of financial health of a lot of community banks. I think they've gotten hurt during the financial crisis, but and they're hurting maybe now. But I can tell you, Goldman Sachs, after a year after these mega bailouts, is handing out $20 billion in bonus money. And there is a real issue here. I put calls into Geithner's office. We have not heard back from them yet. I put calls to Barney Frank's office. We haven't heard back from him yet. But I think, what he's essentially asking is let's call Geithner back on the stand. Let's get him in front of a hearing, and let's ask him why there is this inequality. I will say this. There's kind of a bigger story here, and it's the continuing controversy surrounding Tim Geithner. This guy really can't escape controversy.
Has he sold his house yet?
In Mamaroneck, right?
Larchmont, Riverdale.
He better not sell because he's probably going to have to move back there. I mean, here's the interesting thing. When you talk to people in Washington, I spent a few days in Washington last week, their betting is he doesn't last beyond the midterms, particularly if the Republicans take over. If the Republicans take over the House and the Senate, just say they take over the House. Well, first off, Spencer Baucus is probably...
Geithner better answer his letters because Baucus could at some point be like... call for his removal.
He's going to be the chairman. So if this sets up a really... Now it's a battle of the words. We were first to report this. We've gotten some of the letters. I'm talking to people. But if Spencer Baucus becomes chairman of this committee, he's going to be hauled up in front of that committee to answer all these questions. And I think the pressure is really on him to leave.
Yeah. All right. And by the way, even though you were a little tough on me when you first said
I was just breaking your chops.
I want to give you props for the Citigroup story. You broke it, last week?
Yeah,
about the extra... No, there's more news now about how the government's going to start selling Citi.
Oh, really?
You were saying that a week ago.
No, I said it 2 weeks ago.
Was it 2 weeks?
Hey, you heard it here first.
Charlie Baucus, everybody. No, Charlie Gasparino. Happy to have you. It was good. Either way, you broke it.
Thank you.
Good man.
Thank you.
I never know which camera to look at. It's about 400. It's like watching...